Hess, what a matchup. I didn't think that it would go like that, to be honest, given how dominant England have been so far in this tournament.
Look, they certainly have, but the first time that they've moved to Sharjah. So I think that change in itself just brought the teams a little bit closer together. Obviously, England's top order really struggled in those first 10 overs to adjust to the lack of bounce. And it was really only Jos Buttler and Morgan, obviously, in that partnership. But particularly Jos Buttler, the fact that he absorbed all of that pressure from both the Sri Lankan spinners, who were actually outstanding with Theeksana and Hasaranga, and then he just threw it back onto the Sri Lankan lineup. And, I mean, to score 100 in a low-scoring game just shows how far ahead he is of most other players in this tournament.
What was more extraordinary is that was Jos Buttler's first T20 international century, 6 sixes and 6 fours. I mean, he is some player. Then to back it up in the field with his wicket-keeping there, you saw a late run out from him. He is the full package, isn't he?
Look, he's absolutely the peak of his powers at the moment. I mean, I think England made a good move when they decided to move him to the top of the order. He's certainly got the skill set that can deal with anywhere in the order, but he's so explosive at the top. He takes the power play on along with Jason Roy and just takes the opposition out of the game. So he is absolutely flying at the moment, and I'm sure he'll make some big impacts throughout the rest of this tournament.
Absolutely. Nasser Hussain, one of the commentators there, former England captain, said he felt that he was the best white ball player England has had in a long time. Eoin Morgan, let's talk about him, the captain for England there with 40, and there was a lot of chat going into this tournament that he was horribly out of form, but he will take a lot from that innings, I imagine, tonight, Hess.
Well, he got 36 balls in the middle, which is a lot more than he had probably in the previous month. So the fact he got a few out of the middle, he hit 3 sixes at the end, so he would have gained some confidence. And even if that's the one thing, put the Jos Buttler 100 to one side, even if that's the one thing they wanted to achieve from this game was get Eoin Morgan back in form heading to the business end of the tournament, they've been able to get that covered. So England are looking dangerous. As I said, they've had that experience now at Sharjah, and I think the pitches will get a little bit slower. So the fact that he's had time at the crease, obviously Buttler showed what he's capable of. England, to be fair, are looking more dangerous as the tournament progresses. Yes,
they absolutely are, although a few injury concerns after today. Jamal Mills has hurt his quad, and who will you get to replace him? Because I felt like he was really just hitting his straps, and he had announced himself quite early in this tournament. Who will they replace him with? Because Mark Wood's still battling an ankle injury, and David Willey is a potential to step in, but it's not really like for like.
Yeah, I think it depends how bad it is. I mean, if Jamal Mills is out, then I think Tom Curran will come in, and that is more of a like-for-like. They both do that role at the back end of the innings. The one thing with Jamal Mills, sure, he's got the left-arm angle, but he's also got another 10 Ks on the likes of Tom Curran, but that would be the replacement if it was a complete injury. Otherwise, you're right, it's not really a like-for-like with the likes of David Willey. He has to bowl more in the power play. Whereas Jamal Mills stays well away from that and does most of his work in the back 10 overs. So that will be a real shift. You know, they will be sweating on the fitness of Mark Wood. As I said, he brings that extra pace as well. So, look, there could be potentially some concerns. There was a discussion before this game, 2 games in 3 days. Were they going to rest one of their quicks because of the heavy ground? I think now potentially that they might think that maybe they should have.
Sri Lanka are a side who, in these big tournaments, they are capable of upsets of the big and informed teams. And tonight they got very close. Tough for them, though, because there are a lot of young players in this side. You're missing the big names that we usually talk about, you know, your Malingas, your Sangakaras and the like. How do you think they will bounce back from this? I imagine they will take a lot of confidence and a lot of positives from the match.
Look, they've really struggled the last year to 18 months. So they would have come into this tournament without a huge amount of confidence. The fact they went through the first phase unbeaten, they arrived in the Super 12s with a bit of confidence. They obviously had a win relatively early on, which once again would have given that young side a bit of self-belief. Shanaka's a good leader in the group. He's young and establishing himself as well, but they really rely on the likes of Wanindu Hasaranga to make a big impact. Kaushal Pereira at the top of the order hasn't quite had the impact they would have liked. So they rely on sort of 2 or 3 key players. The rest are just establishing themselves, just trying to find their feet on the international stage. So even though they lost today, you're right, that the fact they went blow for blow with England up to the last 3 overs of their batting innings would have given them plenty of confidence. And they could still cause an upset and upset one of the other teams that are fighting for that semi-final spot.
Australia never get the opportunity to play at Sharjah, and we've talked about conditions and how they really benefit the spinners. It's going to be interesting to see how Australia could potentially make their way through to the next round of this. It's not looking as promising. Certainly how dominant England has been. South Africa playing tonight, New Zealand time. What do you expect to see? Who do you think will be the last-minute tussle in that pool?
Well, definitely South Africa and Australia, I think, are going to go, toe-to-toe, really, these last two rounds. I think the main thing is going to be net run rate. I mean, Australia are under the pump from a net run rate perspective, having got, demolished the other night. So they're aware that these next two matches, not only do they have to win, but they have to win well. And I think they're playing Sri Lanka and the West Indies, who are both capable on their day to put them under pressure, potentially upset them, but certainly not over and allow that net run rate to make a big shift. So Australia are under the pump. I think South Africa have got a slightly better draw. But, yeah, it's going to go right down to the wire. So that's an exciting...
I love that. I love that it's T20 cricket, so anything can happen, as you say. Any team's capable of an upset. So the big matchups overnight tomorrow, we have Bangladesh and South Africa. Your favourite going into that have to be South Africa, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, especially with Shakib Al Hasan out as well. I mean, I think if he's playing, then... Bangladesh have got another match winner with both bat and ball. The fact he's out, I think they're a little bit under-resourced in terms of applying too much pressure to South Africa. I think South Africa will try and bully them too with the pace that they have. They've got a lot of airspeed with the likes of Rabada and Nokia, and I think that'll be a little bit too much for Bangladesh. And South Africa getting better at playing spin as well. So I think South Africa will get over the line there.
The other matchup, Pakistan and Namibia. Now, Pakistan are on a real heater at the moment, but they are a team that also on their day can be prone to the odd slip-up in a big world tournament.
Look, they can. I'm not sure Namibia will be the ones that will do that, but hey, as you said, you never know. I mean, the likes of, they've got a number of players that play in South Africa and domestic cricket. A lot of guys that have plenty of experience sort of playing under lights and against some decent sides. Whether they can deal with the might of that Pakistan bowling attack, I think, will be a real challenge. I think with the ball, Namibia will be okay. They've got David Visa as an experienced player. They've got three left-armers in their mix who actually will challenge Pakistan with the bat. But I think Namibia with the bat will actually struggle to get a reasonable score.
And I know we spoke to you yesterday morning, but do you feel like New Zealand, after what was basically a complete performance last night against India, do you think they've announced themselves as real contenders in this tournament now?
Yes, I do. And I think this happens at most world events, as we're well aware. I mean, they come up with the same mantra of, New Zealand punch above their weight and so forth. But we do it all the time. So it can't be a surprise to many that actually understand the game. So, New Zealand are a well-organised T20 side, very well led, very well structured in terms of the variety that's in that bowling attack. And I guess the challenge is always going to be how we're going to play spin against good spinners through the middle. And last night we weren't challenged in terms of the total that we had to chase because our bowling was so exceptional. For me, the game that's going to be the one that I'm really looking forward to is against Afghanistan in Sharjah. And that's the game that if New Zealand can play spin well, and there's a bit of mystery spin there, then I think we've got a really good chance heading into the semi-finals.
Mike Hesson, I want to thank you so much for your time this morning. As always, great internet again. We're doing very well at the moment. You enjoy the rest of your evening. So in case you have just joined us, thank you, Hesson. In case you've just joined us, England won against Sri Lanka this morning. Tomorrow, though, the big matchups, we have South Africa taking on Bangladesh from 11 o'clock tonight. That's on Sky Sport 3. And then Pakistan, Namibia, Sky Sport 3 live at 3 a.m. And then we will wrap it all up for you tomorrow morning. We'll see you then.